right, good late Monday evening, everybody. Jacob Mountain back with you live here in West Michigan weather. I did mention that if we did have any further severe weather concerns, that we would be back with you live here, and well, those concerns are back in our coverage area, so I am joining you back here with more live coverage. The National Weather Service in Grand Rapids has issued a severe thunderstorm warning. This takes us to the far northwestern portions of our coverage area, mainly across northwestern portions of Mason County. This is for the potential of damaging wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour and large hail. And take a note of this, this is a little bit larger hail potential here, up to ping pong ball size in diameter, or 1.5 inches in diameter if you're looking for a number when it comes to the size of this release appointed this warning. And this warning goes until midnight tonight. I'm going to pull the warning text here from the National Weather Service. Alright, loading that in here. Again, this is at 11:21. This warning was issued. The National Weather Service in Grand Rapids has issued a severe thunderstorm warning for northern portions of Mason County in west central Michigan. This warning goes again until midnight tonight. And at 11:20 p.m., a severe thunderstorm was located near the Ludington area. As you can see on radar, it's moving overhead right now, moving off to the northeast at 40 miles per hour. Hazard of this storm is, again, ping pong ball size hail and 60 mile per hour wind gusts. Source on this is radar indicated. Impact, people and animals outdoors will be injured. Expect hail damage to roofs, siding, windows, and vehicles. Expect wind damage to roofs, siding, and trees. Some locations impacted by this potential severe thunderstorm include Ludington, the Fountain area, Free Soil, Hamlin Lake, and Ludington State Park. If you're in any of these near any of these areas I just called out, for your protection, move to an interior room on the lowest floor of a building. So again, this is a severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect for portions of Mason County. This goes until midnight tonight. Taking a look on radar here, unfortunately, we're kind of in that spot where we're kind of don't have a good low level scan, but what we do see here is a strong thunderstorm moving over the Ludington area. As you can see with the purples, maybe some pink values here, that is some higher reflectivity. And that is one of the things we look for when we look for hail potential. I will take a look at velocity. And we are still showing some potential for gustier winds with this storm. Again, we're kind of at the edge of the radar signal, so don't really have a good low level look. I'll take a look. Not really having a good low level look at the winds in the storm, but there is the potential for 60 mile per hour wind gusts. And we want you to take that seriously, because especially when you get in the larger hail, ping pong ball size, and that's wind driven, that stuff can start breaking windows and stuff. So that's why I want you in that interior room on the lowest floor of that building, preferably away from those windows. We'll also take a look at correlation coefficient, or debris tracker. In this case, we're not really using it for debris, we're using it to check for hail potential. And you can see how it gets noisy here near the Ludington area. That's a decent sign that we're seeing some hail, at least in the mid to upper levels of the storm. And it's a good possibility that we'll be making it down to the surface near the Ludington area. We'll go back to our reflectivity product. And again, still a good signal for large hail near the Ludington area. We're going to go ahead and do a storm track on this storm now. That's an update to our special marine warning that also continues offshore of Ludington. That's this kind of purple box here. That is a special marine warning that continues for large hail as well. We're going to do a storm track of this severe thunderstorm, track it off to the northeast at around 40 miles per hour. That's going to take it, I'll zoom in a little bit, try and get a few more locations. But free soil in the next 25 minutes or so based on current trajectory. Do not wait if you're near the Free Soil Township area. You should be heading indoors right now. Ludington, you definitely need to be indoors. You're in the thick of this storm. At least very, very heavy rainfall, frequent lightning, potentially gusty to damaging winds, and large hail. And then this will eventually take it outside of Mason County, the Stronach area, I believe that's how you pronounce that, near Manistee. Stronach, or I believe that's how you pronounce that. Someone, if you're in the area, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But again, that will be moving out of the county within the next half hour. But again, if you're in especially northern portions of Mason County and you are watching this live stream, this is your heads up. You need to be taking cover in that sturdy structure, preferably on that lowest floor away from those windows as this storm moves in. This is the only severe thunderstorm warning in our coverage area right now. We are watching this other cell that has been flaring up. This is going to be in the northern portions of Oceana County, Oceana County, near the Hart area. We're watching this cell that's flared up over the last little bit, and we're starting to see some signals of hail potential in this storm as well. So we'll be watching Oceana County as well, and then eventually we'll have to watch Lake County as well. As these storms continue to flare up and move northeast, we'll have to be watching at least for the potential of large hail, if not damaging winds, as they move off to the northeast, east and northeast. We also have, I'm going to turn the radar off just for a second so we can do this overview. We have a severe thunderstorm watch that was recently issued for areas north of I-96. That's going to include the following counties: Muskegon, Newaygo, Montcalm, Gratiot, Oceana. That is going to be Mecosta County, Isabella County, Mason County, Lake County. That is going to be Osceola County, and also Clare County in our coverage area. So anywhere in this kind of pink shading here, that is going to be your severe thunderstorm watch. And that goes until 5 a.m. on Tuesday morning. And I'll pull up the details on the severe thunderstorm watch behind the scenes here. Give me just one moment. This is issued for much of central lower Michigan. Areas north of I-96, and this is going to go until from 11:10 p.m. That's when this watch was issued, going until 5 a.m. on Tuesday morning. Primary threats with any storms that do manage to turn severe will be scattered damaging wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour, and scattered large hail events up to ping pong ball size and diameter possible. So again, we're expecting storms to continue to increase in coverage, particularly across central lower Michigan overnight tonight. And some of these storms may become on the severe side with large hail and damaging winds. Now, the tornado threat with these storms is looking, I don't want to say completely zero, but relatively low. Especially as we get later into the night, surface stability will kind of take over and now kind of prevent these storms from getting rooted to the surface, because we have plenty of shear overhead. And the shear will actually be increasing as we head into the night as the low-level jet comes in. That's what's kind of fueling these storms developing, is that low-level jet. But surface stability will kind of set in overnight. That'll kind of limit these storms from becoming surface-based, which would allow it to take advantage of more of that low-level shear and increase the tornado threat. We're expecting stability to kind of limit that, but we still have potential for large hail and damaging wind gusts. And that will be especially true for areas north of I-96 tonight. And another concern that might not have been talked about a lot, we're also concerned about heavy rainfall. There is a flood watch in effect for several counties. It's not shown on this map at the moment as the severe thunderstorm watch is taking priority, but we do have flood watches for several of our northern counties as well. As not only do we have heavy rain tonight, but we got another round coming in tomorrow night as well, more heavy rain in these same areas that don't really need it. So we're also very concerned about flooding with these storms as well, both tonight and into tomorrow night as well. So going back to our severe thunderstorm warning, the core of the storm is now passing to the north of Ludington. It's near the Hamlin Lake area, near Piney Ridge. It is near the Hamlin Grocery store there, near east of Hamlin Lake. Is where we're watching for the potential of some larger hail that is extending over towards the Hemlock Golf Club and West Shore Community College area. Mainly north of US 10 at this point is where this storm is mainly tracking. It is mainly to the north of US 10. In addition, again, to the large hail threat and damaging wind potential, we're also seeing a lot of lightning with these storms, which is another indication that this is a relatively strong storm. We have frequent lightning with it. And we'll take a look at another product. Actually, what I think we could do, I think we are sufficiently far from the radar. As you can see, it extends up potentially to over 50,000 feet. And the large hail with a storm, it's being lofted to around 30,000 feet. And so again, this is a relatively strong storm. As you can see here of our cross section. As you can see, it's getting lofted pretty high up there. So we're up to around 50,000 feet. So we'll have to take a look at another product, our Echo Tops. And that agrees with that, up to 48,000 feet. So up to nearly 50,000 feet. That's an intense storm, folks. So again, primary concern with this is large hail up to ping pong ball size in diameter, or 1.5 inches in diameter, and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Again, this is the only severe thunderstorm warning in our coverage area for the moment. We are expecting at least a few more severe thunderstorm warnings likely as we head into the overnight hours, hence the recent issuance of that severe thunderstorm watch. Again, we do have all of those details scrolling on the bottom of our screen as well. So if you missed something I am discussing, when it comes to these watches and warnings, those details are scrolling on the bottom of your screen. But again, we only have the one active severe thunderstorm warning. I am watching this cell in northern Oceana County that will be moving into northern portions of Newaygo and southern Lake counties. That might be our next storm to potentially go with a severe thunderstorm warning. Taking a look behind the scenes, I do have an MPING report. This was at 11:33. North of the Ludington area, I am seeing a dime-size hail report. That is just below severe criteria, but dime-size hail being reported. This is according to an MPING report. On a secondary source I do have access to behind the scenes. So again, we're watching some potential. We're still seeing the potential for hail with this storm as it continues to move off to the northeast. I'm going to take a look at another product here. This is going to be our hail tracker. Just a second to get that loaded up. Now this is going to be a little bit delayed on this source, but this is showing that indication for large hail in the purples. And it's showing that just in the north of Ludington. That matches up with that dime size report from MPING north of the Ludington area. That matches up with that. Again, it's a little bit delayed on this radar system with the scans for the hail tracker, but again, it matches up with our reflectivity as I go back to that. Again, it's a little bit ahead now on the reflectivity scans, but still generally matches up, and it matches up with reports we are getting from the ground. So again, we still have the potential for large hail up to ping pong ball size in diameter. We do have reports of penny-size hail of this storm, according to MPING. So again, we need you to be inside right now in northern Mason County, especially free soil, Free Soil Township area, the Fountain area, over towards the Sugar Grove point, point of interest anyone might be familiar with, over towards West Shore Community College. Now passing east of the Hamlin Lake area, east of Piney Ridge. And again, mainly heading towards Free Soil Township over the next several minutes. And eventually, we'll say on its current trajectory, I would not be surprised to see a warning potentially for far northwestern Lake County. It's going to be the far northwestern corner. And then mainly in the Manistee, into Manistee County. That is outside of our coverage area here at West Michigan Weather. But just be aware of that in case we do have anyone watching from the Manistee area. Warnings may eventually be required. I am getting some updated information on this severe thunderstorm warning. I do have a little bit of good news with this one. They have dropped the winds below 50 miles per hour for a wind gust potential. And the hail has been dropped to 1 inch in diameter, down from ping pong ball size. That is still severe criteria. You'll still want to be inside in that sturdy structure, but at least we are reducing the damaging wind threat a little bit and also lowering the hail size a little bit. But if you're in northern Mason County, this is still a strong to severe thunderstorm moving off to the northeast with the potential for large hail. Melissa on Facebook saying thank you for your report. You're very welcome, Melissa. Just doing our part here to help keep West Michigan safe as we head through the overnight hours. It's looking like it could be a long night when it comes to these thunderstorms, and hopefully we can get through without too much in the way of severe weather, but I'll be here probably throughout the night and get you guys through this. We'll get through this together. So again, we continue with this severe thunderstorm warning for northern Mason County, mainly north of US 10. So I will say, Ludington, you have been taken out of the severe thunderstorm warning. We still have other storms that could be possible throughout the night, but at least from this thunderstorm, your severe threat is over in the Ludington area. The main areas we are watching is the Fountain and Free Soil Township area. The Hamlin Lake area is technically in this warning as well, but the storm is passing off to your northeast. And also, from that Manistee area I was just mentioning, there is now a severe thunderstorm warning in effect up there as well. This is outside of our coverage area, but I'll briefly mention it. This is for half dollar size hail and 60 mile per hour wind gusts in the Manistee area across much of Manistee County. But our main concern continues to be northern Mason County, as this storm continues to move off to the northeast. I will say the strongest part of this storm is along and west of US 31, northeast of the Hamlin Lake area, kind of towards the Nordhaus Dunes Wilderness area. If you're familiar with that area, that's where the strongest part of this storm is. Again, along and west of US 31, it is moving to the northeast. And let me double check the speed on it. Moving to the northeast at roughly 40 miles per hour. You're also still watching this storm, now heading out of northeastern Oceana County. We're starting to see some elevated reflectivity signals there. So this is going to be a heads up for southeastern Mason, northwestern Newaygo County, and also southwestern portions of Lake County. If this storm continues to strengthen, severe thunderstorm warning cannot be ruled out there as well for the potential of large hail. I can take up our hail tracker real quick, just to take a look at that. And again, similar sort of reflectivity, we are seeing an elevated signal for hail near the Walkerville area, kind of towards the Colfax and Troy communities as well. North of Walkerville especially is where we're seeing that signal for potential large hail. Hail that could be starting to get a little bit on the larger side. Things behind the scenes. Bear with me, guys. And no other new reports besides that dime size report on Emping, kind of near the Hamlin Lake area earlier, north of Ludington. That is the only report I've seen of hail. If anyone happens to be watching in northern Mason County and you have reports of hail to pass along, if you can do so safely, please feel free to let us know. You can let us know in chat. Also, if you have pictures, feel free to tag us on social media or and on our website at www.westmichiganweather.net. We do have a place where you can submit those storm reports as well. Again, those reports will be very helpful to not only to us, but our partners at the National Weather Service as well. Give them the ground truth, because I can show you radar all day, but unfortunately, especially up in this area of West Michigan, radar, we don't have the best road level radar coverage, and radar just doesn't paint the whole picture of what we're seeing on below the radar scan at the ground. And those storm reports can really help us out with that. So again, if you're in northern Mason County, happen to be watching, and if you have any storm reports, feel free to let us know. Again, you can do so in chat or on our website at www.westmichiganweather.net. So again, this is our only active severe thunderstorm warning. If you're just tuning in tonight, it is around 11:45 p.m. on this Monday night, soon to be Tuesday morning. I am Jacob Melton. I am live here in West Michigan Weather for a severe thunderstorm warning for northern portions of Mason County. And this is for this storm this is mainly a hail potential right now. Earlier we had potential for damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. But a recent update from the National Weather Service has backed off the wind potential a little bit. Still some gusty winds possible, but currently not expected to reach severe levels. Our main concern with this storm is hail up to quarter size in diameter. And it looks like we got a new severe thunderstorm warning coming in. This is for that area I was highlighting earlier across northeastern Mason, northeastern, excuse me, let me start over with that. That's going to be northeastern Oceana, southeastern Mason County, along with the southern half, roughly, of Lake County and northern portions of Newaygo County. This severe thunderstorm warning is going to go 12 till 12:30 a.m. on Tuesday morning. And this is going to be for the potential, again, this is mainly a hail threat with hail up to quarter size in diameter possible with this thunderstorm. Wind gusts, again, are below 50 miles per hour on this warning, meaning that gusty winds are still a possibility, but they're currently not expected to reach the severe threshold. So again, this is a new severe thunderstorm warning for southeastern Mason, northeastern Oceana County, most southern half of Lake County, and northern portions of Newaygo County. I'm going to pull up the warning text from the National Weather Service. Give me just a second. I'm just handling some behind the scenes stuff, so just bear with me just for a second. Just for a second, guys. Just handling some behind the scenes stuff. This is a thunderstorm. Okay, so just okay. So again, this is a new severe thunderstorm warning that just came in for our 4 areas. For the following areas, this is going to be for northwestern Newaygo County and west central Michigan, Lake County, mainly the southern half of Lake County in particular, in west central Michigan, southeastern Mason County in west central Michigan, and northeastern Oceana County in west central Michigan. This goes until 12:30 a.m. And at 11:45 p.m., a severe thunderstorm was located 11 miles southwest of the Baldwin area, moving northeast at around 45 miles per hour. Again, the primary threat with this particular storm is going to be large hail up to quarter size in diameter. And again, the source on this is radar indicated. Take a look behind the scenes. I do not see any other reports besides that at this point. Again, this is radar indicated. Impact damage to vehicles is expected. Locations impacted by this include Baldwin, Luther, Chase, Colfax, Walkerville, Nirvana, Bristol, Wolf Lake, Big Star Lake, the Bitley area, and Idlewild. I believe that's how you pronounce that. One of those little town names, they're kind of pesky for us to pronounce sometimes, but again, feel free to correct me if anyone happens to be watching and will be familiar with that if I was wrong. But for your protection, if you're in this warning, if you're near any of the areas I called out, for your protection, move to an interior room on the lowest floor of the building, and you preferably want to be away from those windows just with the potential for some of that larger hail. So again, what we're watching right now is near the Colfax and Troy areas. That'll be heading towards the Baldwin area over the next few minutes. I can go ahead and do a storm track on this particular storm off to the northeast, and that's going to take it towards the Baldwin area in the next 15 to 20 minutes, but don't wait. You'll want to be heading indoors right now in the Baldwin area. I know it's relatively getting later at night, but just in case you are out there, time to get indoors. Eventually the Chase area in the next half an hour or so, the Luther area in the next 30 to 35 minutes or so, and also the Leroy area. And this is going to be a heads up for western portions of Osceola County. If these storms hold together, warnings may eventually be required for you as well. But the Leroy area in the next 47 minutes. So again, if you're in or near any of these areas I just called out, you'll need to be heading indoors, preferably in that sturdy structure away from those windows, and most preferably on the lowest floor. And it looks like the Weather Prediction Center is issuing a mesoscale precipitation discussion that is going to include much of the area north of I-96. I'm going to get that pulled up on my other source here. Well, we can take a look at that in just a moment. But again, we have two severe... Before we go to that, I'm going to go over our severe weather concerns as of right now. We have two severe thunderstorm warnings, mainly near and north of the US 10 corridor right now. One for northern portions of Mason County, and then another one for southeastern Mason along northeastern Oceanus. Mainly the southern and central portions of Lake County and northern portions of Newaygo County. The northern Mason County warning, that goes until midnight tonight. And this other warning to the southeast, that go over near the Baldwin area, that goes until 12:30 a.m. tonight. Again, so now I'm going to get let me get my source back up and running. Let me go take a look real quickly at the mesoscale precipitation discussion. Give me just a minute to get that pulled up. Just one moment. Okay, so this is the mesoscale precipitation discussion I was just mentioning from our friends at the Weather Prediction Center. And it says in the headline, rainfall rates of 1 to 2 inches per hour with additional totals up to 3 inches, areas of flash flooding likely. And as you can see, our focus for this is going to be the stationary front right across central lower Michigan. That is serving as our focal point for a potential flash flooding situation. And the main problem with this area is it's already seen a lot of rain over the last several days, and unfortunately we got more coming tonight. This area, it's not going to take a whole lot of rain for it to run off. There's only so much that the ground can absorb, and it's not much. But when you get these repetitive thunderstorms over the same area like we're expecting tonight, that's when we're looking at flooding issues. So again, we are also watching for areas of flash flooding tonight, and we cannot rule out the potential of at least flood advisories and flood warnings, if not flash flood warnings tonight. Especially, I want to say, areas north of I-96. And if I am to be concerned in particular about an area, it's going to be areas near and north of M46 that I am potentially concerned for the potential of that flooding, of those flooding rates, in addition to the severe weather potential. At this point, I'm going to go back to our radar. And so again, our main concern right now is these severe thunderstorm warnings that are in effect for portions of Mason, Lake, Oceana, and Newaygo counties. We have two separate storms we are watching. This one near the Free Soil Township area is going to be on its way out into Manistee County over the next few minutes. It may clip the far northwestern portions of Lake County. That is some communities that might be impacted include the Irons and Little Manistee area. I think most of it is going to go northwest into Manistee County, but just a heads up, we are watching that far northwestern corner of Lake County, as the storm may clip there and produce some mainly a large hail potential. And then we are also watching this storm that is now moving out of Mason and Oceana counties, I should say, and is moving mainly into Lake and Newaygo counties. In fact, they have just updated that severe thunderstorm warning to remove that southeastern portion of Mason County and that northeastern portion of Oceana County that was in that severe thunderstorm warning. They have just removed that as the storm has moved out of the warned area. Our main focus of this particular storm is now into northern portions of Newaygo and particularly southern portions of Lake County. And our main concern with this cell is going to be southwest of the Baldwin area and these elevated reflectivity values. Get my overlays back up. We're going to take a look at velocity. Again, damaging wind is not a big concern. I believe the tag on this is under 50 miles per hour. Yep, still under 50 miles an hour on the warning when it comes to wind potential. But nonetheless, some potential for gusty winds cannot be ruled out as well. But our main concern continues to be hail. First, we'll take a look at our, this is titled debris tracker. This is our correlation coefficient. But tonight, we're not really using it for tornado debris. Rather, we've been using it to detect hail. And we are seeing some indications of hail in that near the Baldwin area. Same goes for our northern storm, north of the Free Soil Township area. We're still seeing some indications from hail. And this is also looking a little bit higher up into the storm, too. As I mentioned earlier, this area is not really the best for low-level radar coverage. But you can see these blues kind of showing up behind the storm as well. If I go back to reflectivity, that is a sign of some larger hail, at least in the mid to upper levels of the storm that the radar is scanning at. That is a sign of some larger hail that could be moving into the Baldwin area over the next several minutes. So if you are in Baldwin, if you are in the Luther area, if you are in the Chase area, I need you to be inside right now, preferably in, it's fairly late at night here. A lot of people are already sleeping, but you need to be in that sturdy structure, preferably away from those windows over the next several minutes as this storm continues to move off to the east and northeast. Taking a look at some other products, we'll go to our hail tracker real quick on this storm. And again, this is a little bit delayed on the scan, but both of these storms are still showing indications of potential for large hail. And especially in these purples on both of these cells, that when we start seeing these purples, that's generally a good signal that we're seeing hail on these storms, and it could be on the larger side. We'll go back to reflectivity again. And again, the strongest part of this storm in northern Mason County, I will say, is beginning to lift out of Mason County. Will be in the Manistee County over the next several minutes. And then our main focus will then turn to especially southern portions of Lake County is going to be our primary area of concern. Along and south of US 10 is going to be our primary area of concern with this storm for the potential large hail. That is going to become our primary concern for the short term. So again, most of our severe weather right now is near and north of US 10. We will be watching areas as far south as the M46 corridor as well. You are in this severe thunderstorm watch that goes for the next 5 hours until 5 a.m. Will severe weather go all the way till 5 a.m.? It's a possibility, at least for hail. Maybe some isolated wind damage as well. But I do think the fret, as stability continues to set in through the overnight hours, I do think the fret will slowly wind down, especially as we get towards the 5, 6, 7 a.m. time frame. And then we will have to recharge and get ready for the next, for what will eventually be a Tuesday evening severe weather fret as well. We'll discuss that a little bit later on once we get a little bit of a break in the severe thunderstorm warnings, but we have additional severe weather potential as well that we will have to discuss. And again, if you're especially south of I-96, there's not a whole lot going on. Just some showers down towards the Jackson area. But overall, not too much going on there. Near the I-96 corridor, it's quiet for now. We'll have to see how far south we can get storms to develop. But right now, our primary focus is near and north of US 10 for severe weather. You will be watching especially as far south as M46 or M57 especially for the potential of severe weather as we head into through the overnight hours as we now enter Tuesday morning. If you are in northern Mason County, this is going to be our northern cell. They are allowing this warning to expire. So northern Mason County are still seeing heavier rainfall, maybe some small hail and frequent lightning, but they are allowing the severe thunderstorm warning to expire as the strongest part of this storm has now moved into Manistee County. So for areas of northern Mason County, that severe thunderstorm warning has been allowed to expire. That leaves, as of right now, only one active severe thunderstorm warning. And that's going to be for our friends in Newaygo and Lake counties. I will say the greatest threat from this particular storm right now is going to be in Lake County, particularly southern Lake County. Is my greatest area of concern right now from this storm. I don't have any reports coming in yet. Looking behind the scenes as well. I do not have any reports coming in, so again, so this is going to be mainly a large hail threat right now. We're not seeing. We'll take a look at velocity again really quickly just to see what that's looking like. Again, we're not, again, some brighter reds. There may be some gusty winds, but we do think it's below severe limits. And we are seeing, interestingly, maybe a little bit of rotation developing in the mid-levels near the Free Soil Township area. Just a little bit of mid-level rotation. Again, we do have a very low but non-zero tornado threat, but I do not think this is really a tornado threat. We don't have the best low-level radar coverage in this area as I go to velocity, but we are seeing some signals of the potential of some mid-level rotation near the Free Soil Township area. So I turn on our rotation tracker, just see what the stats looking like. Right now it's on the weaker side of things, a little bit elevated near Free Soil Township. But again, this is at the mid-levels, and the chances this is reaching the ground and would be tornadic would be relatively low, but non-zero, so we are watching it in the short term. And of course, if in the rare event we do get a tornado warning, that would be the type of thing we look for, but we're not super concerned about a tornado threat tonight. Not in the zero, let me make that clear, but it's relatively low. Especially as we get later into the night, the surface is only going to get more stable. That would further limit the tornado threat from these storms. We are watching that up there, and if we would not be surprised if that continues to strengthen, a warning may be required. As for this storm, we're not super concerned about any rotation. We're not seeing any signs of that. This is mainly a hail threat for right now. And again, the strongest part of this storm is moving into the Baldwin area as I speak. This is where we're seeing, especially once you get into these purples, these pinks, and even whites. That's where we're seeing the potential for some larger hail. Again, the Baldwin area, the Marlboro areas where we're watching as well. Idlewood. Let me zoom in and try to get some roads. M37 and West 76th Street over towards the Claybanks campground. Over towards the Baldwin Municipal Airport is where we're watching this as well. We're seeing some indications of larger hail, at least on the mid-level radar scan, at least on these radar scans. Again, it's a little bit higher up, considering the distance from the Grand Rapids radar. We're continuing to see elevated potential for some larger hail of this storm into the Baldwin area right now. I'm going to take a look at our debris tracker, and that matches up with this hail signal as well. So you can see on the backside of this storm, that is a kind of a free-bodied scattered spike signature on the backside of this storm. That is a radar beam hitting the hail in the mid to upper levels of this storm. It's having trouble kind of getting through that hail, so that causes these kind of artifacts that we see. And that's one of the things we look for when we are tracking the potential for hail, and especially large hail. That's one of the things we look for, and we are seeing that in southwest of the Baldwin area. So again, strongest part of this storm is moving into Baldwin right now. I will go ahead and do another storm track on it. Track it off to the east and northeast. 45 miles per hour. It's going to take it again into Baldwin right about now. You need to be indoors. Eventually the Roy area in the next half an hour or so. Half an hour to 35 minutes. Heads up, if this storm does maintain its strength, I do think warnings will eventually be required for western sections. That would be Osceola County. Warnings could be required for Osceola County if this storm does hold its strength, which there is a decent chance, at least for hail, that it will. So this early heads up, especially western sections of Osceola County. So that's going to be areas like Roy, Tustin, potentially Reed City as well. We'll be watching for that large hail potential. They are updating our severe thunderstorm warning. If you are in northern areas of Newaygo County, that far northern section, towards the Lilly and area, if you're in the northern portions of Newaygo County, they have updated the severe thunderstorm warning to remove that section of the warning. It is now mainly a southern and southeastern Lake County issue, especially areas like Baldwin, Chase, and Luther, where we're continuing to watch this severe thunderstorm with mainly a large hail threat at this time. And we got quite the intense hail core being indicated on radar right over the Baldwin Municipal Airport area, heading into Idlewood, the south side especially of Baldwin, is where we're seeing the greatest potential for large hail, at least according to our reflectivity scans. And again, this is right now it's warned for quarter size. It could be a little bit larger than that, just with some of these values that we're seeing. I have not seen any storm reports of large hail yet, but if we are seeing that, we'll be seeing some sources of that here fairly soon. Besides this severe thunderstorm warning, I'm going to zoom out. We are watching other storms, mainly near and north of US 10 right now. We will be watching for areas of development down to around the M46 or M57 corridor. We are going to be watching for some potential further development as we head into throughout the night. Any of these storms could be capable of large hail, especially, and damaging wind gusts. The tornado threat, while not zero, it's very low at this point in the night, especially. Surface stability will kind of limit the tornado threat quite significantly. But again, this is mainly a large hail and damaging wind threat. Speaking of velocity, we're still seeing, still seeing maybe some signs of rotation up there, but we're kind of in that spot where we don't have the best signal for radar anyway, so we're not really too concerned about tornado threat. Maybe some gusty winds potentially, especially in the southern Manistee County. As for our storm in Lake County, some elevated velocities, but again, these storms are relatively elevated in nature. That's going to limit the damaging wind threat some as well. And wind gusts, at least according to the warning, continues to be below 50 miles per hour. Our primary concern with this continues to be large hail up to quarter size in diameter, which is just passed through the Baldwin area. It's right over the Idlewood, I believe that is, over heading towards the Nirvana area. We'll be heading towards Chase over the next few minutes. Luther, it's possible you're in this warning, so you'll want to be inside. But I think the strongest part of this storm may pass you just to your south. But you definitely still want to be inside. Still respect the warning. Be inside. But I think the strongest part of this storm when it comes to the hail may bypass just to the south. We'll keep watching it, but this kind of trends I'm seeing on radar. Taking a look at some of our other products, we'll go to our debris tracker again. We're still seeing that, again, we're not using this for tornado debris right now. We're using this to track the hail. We're still seeing a decent hail signal. I will say the free body scattered spike, not quite as, well, it's still somewhat visible there near the Baldwin area, but not quite as previous scans, but still seeing decent hail potential in the storm that matches up with our reflectivity. We'll put up our hail tracker here in just a second as well, which will tell you the same general story. Near the Baldwin area, we're continuing to see indications for large hail. Back to our reflectivity. We'll take a look at our echo tops real quickly too. I will say it's come down a little bit on the, well, this storm's running around 35 to 40,000 feet. This storm to the north is still upwards of 45,000 up to 50,000 feet there in the portions of Manistee County. These are still relatively strong storms. In fact, we can do a slice of this storm as well. Close up this sidebar. And again, we are looking a little higher up in the storm. It's still around 30, 40, approaching 45,000 feet with these storms. This is still an intense storm nonetheless. Taking a look at that, you can see our hails being lofted to around 10,000 feet. This is still an intense storm heading through the Baldwin. Just tracking through the Baldwin area. It'll be in the Chase area over the next few minutes. Luther, especially if you're south of Luther, you'll be watching this as well, and it will eventually be moving in the western portions of Osceola County where severe thunderstorm warnings might become necessary as the storms continue to track off to the east. Again, this is moving, I believe, to the east, northeast. I will say it's moving a little more easterly than northeast, but northeast at 45 miles per hour. This is our only active severe thunderstorm warning as of right now, and the coverage area is for portions of Lake County. I do anticipate at least a few more warnings being issued tonight, especially north of M46, especially is where I'm mostly concerned. And that is where we have our severe thunderstorm watch, which I'll take a look at that again real quick. Taking the radar off just for a moment. We have the severe thunderstorm watch that is in effect for areas north of I-96, and particularly near and north of M46 is where our severe thunderstorm watch is. That is going to include Muskegon, Newaygo, Montcalm, Gratiot, Oceana. That is going to be Mecosta County, Isabella County. I believe I already said Newaygo, but also Mason County, Lake County, Osceola County, and Clare counties. If you're in any of the counties I just called out, you are under a severe thunderstorm watch tonight. This severe thunderstorm watch goes until 5 a.m. on Tuesday morning, and this is mainly for damaging winds and large hail. Damaging wind gusts up to 70 miles per hour will be possible, in addition to large hail up to ping pong ball size and diameter. This is in addition to frequent lightning will be storms as well. Putting our radar back up, we're going to zoom back into our severe thunderstorm warning. And we are still showing quite the hail signal near the Nirvana area, near and north of US 10 especially. Along and north of US 10 is where we're seeing, again, our very high reflectivity values. Let me do a probe on it. We're approaching 70 dBz. That's usually a sign of an intense storm likely producing hail. Again, near the Nirvana area, and now we'll be moving off to the east and northeast. Near and north of the Chase area, it might go just in between Chase and Luther. These are relatively rural areas, but nonetheless, if you're in this area, you will need to be inside in that sturdy structure. I want you preferably away from those windows as these storms continue to move off to the north and east. We are watching another cell in Mason County. It's kind of flared up a little bit over the last few minutes. Near the Fountain area, Custer. This would be more of a northern northern and central Lake County issue if it continues to strengthen. Taking a look at velocity. Nothing particularly concerning there. This again would primarily be a hail threat, I would tend to think. As these also move off to the east and northeast, we're also watching other cells over Lake Michigan that may again be similar issues for potentially northern Osceola and southern Lake counties not Lake Mason counties, with time as these continue to move off to the east and northeast as well. So we've got a lot to watch tonight, and we'll be here watching it throughout the night until the danger is over. Again, we only have right now one active severe thunderstorm warning that is going to be for portions of Lake County, particularly the southeastern portion of Lake County. Justin from Facebook is asking, well, how about Sanilac County? Justin, Sanilac County is outside of our coverage area. Again, there's not too much going on right now in Sanilac County. I know there were some storms up towards the Thumb earlier. We were tracking those same storms earlier tonight, I should say. But right now, we're seeing some storms near the Lapeer area. But Sanilac County, I do think the severe threat, while not zero, is a little bit lower over there later on tonight. That is mainly due to timing. However, you could still see an isolated large hail, maybe up to quarter size in diameter, and maybe some gusty winds as well. But I do think the severe threat over in Sanilac County is going to be a little bit lower than on our side of the state here in West Michigan. And again, we're kind of outside of Sanilac County is outside of our coverage area, so just try to remember that. I can't really focus on Sanilac County too much. But right now, we're not seeing anything imminent over there, and I think the overall threat will be lower. Again, focusing back on our severe thunderstorm warning, the only warning that we have, at least right now, we're still showing a very strong hail core near the Chase and Luther areas. And we're going to take a look at some of our other products. Our debris tracker, which in this case we're using for hail, still showing that hail signal. We'll throw on our hail tracker as well. Just give me one moment. And again, it's still showing our large hail signal between Baldwin and Chase. So we'll go back to our reflectivity, and that matches up. So again, still quite a strong thunderstorm, likely producing at least some hail potential in southeastern portions of Lake County. We are continuing to watch this storm as well. In Mason County that we're watching as well. It's not severe at this point, but some small hail may certainly be possible near the Fountain area, the Salable area. Now we're moving off to the east and northeast, so eventually Peacock, and we'll be watching particularly northwestern portions, of Lake County for these storms as well. In addition to these isolated cells producing hail, we do have to watch any of these storms that kind of congeal in the line segments. Like we're starting to see that happen across portions of Lake Mason and particularly Manistee County right now. If we get these line segments to kind of take shape, we'll have to watch for a little bit more of a damaging wind threat as well. Unfortunately, we're kind of in that spot here where we don't have the best low level radar coverage. I'll take a look from the Gaylord radar, and we are seeing maybe some gustier winds near the Wellston area. That would be taking it into northwestern portions of Lake County. We are indicating winds over 70 miles per hour. However, this is several thousand feet up. It's questionable that this is reaching the surface at this point in time. We'll keep watching it though. But the general point I'm making here is that we'll have to watch these line segments that develop as well for a little bit more of a damaging wind potential. Helen on YouTube saying the Kaliva area is getting it. I can believe that. Definitely some strong storms out there tonight, and expect that to continue throughout the night tonight. Yeah, I can believe it. You're under that severe thunderstorm warning up there. That goes for the next 10 minutes. We'll see what the National Weather Service and Gaylord decides to do with that. Again, our focus right now in our coverage area is that far eastern section. I say a small section of east central Lake County. We are continuing with this severe thunderstorm warning for the next 10 minutes or so. This continues 4-quarter size hail. It continues to be our primary threat with this storm as it continues to move off to the east and northeast. Moving northeast at 45 miles per hour. I do believe warnings will eventually be required here for at least northwest, probably western portions. I wouldn't be surprised if they just go to the northern half of that is going to be Osceola County as well. I do anticipate, as with the way this storm is looking, I do think severe warnings will more likely than not be extended into that area in the next few minutes. So the Leroy area, Tustin, Highland, Marion, potentially northern areas of Reed City and the Edvard area as well. Just a heads up, severe thunderstorm warning may eventually be required for this cell as it continues to lift off to the east and northeast. We are still showing an indication for some larger hail between the Chase and Luther areas. And there is our severe thunderstorm warning. That's going to be for roughly the northern half of Osceola County, and it is also including the northwestern corner of Clare County. And this warning is going to go until 1:15 in the morning, and this is also for the potential of mainly quarter-size hail. Just a second, I'm just doing some behind-the-scenes stuff. Just a moment. Again, this is a severe thunderstorm warning for Osceola and Clare counties. until 1:15 a.m. Let's go ahead and some behind the scenes stuff. Give me just one moment. Okay, so again, this is a new severe thunderstorm warning that I mentioned the potential that was coming. The National Weather Service has issued it. This is until 1:15 a.m. for roughly the northern half of Osceola County, and also that extreme northwestern corner of Clare County. And once again, this is going to be more the potential quarter-size hail mainly. So Roy, Tustin, Highland, Marion. If you're in any of these areas I'm calling out, you need to be taking cover right now. Preferably in that sturdy building, away from those windows. I would get away from the windows. I know it's probably waking you up, but I know it's a work and school night, so a lot of people are probably sleeping at this hour. But I need you to, especially if you're sleeping near a window or in the upstairs areas, I need you to get up, kind of get out of those areas, at least for the next little bit as this storm moves through. Again, this is quarter-size hail being indicated on radar. I'm taking a look at my other source behind the scenes. I have not seen any reports yet from Lake County. I would not be surprised to hear of some larger hail in that area. And we're going to do a storm track now. We're going to track out this hail core off to the northeast at around 45 miles per hour. It's going to take it towards the Roy area in the next 13 minutes, the Highland area in the next 29 minutes, the Marion area in the next half hour to 35 minutes, and eventually it's going to take it out of, we're going to take it, this location, McBain's going to take it in the southern, I believe that is Missaukee County, but we are also watching northwestern portions of Clare County. A few more locations. I will say Rainbow Bend in the next 50 minutes or so. Just getting a few more locations there. So again, this is for large hail up to quarter size of diameters, our primary threat with this storm as it continues to move off to the northeast. We are watching these storms back in northwestern Lake County as well. Not currently severe, but I am kind of watching organize in one of those little line segments. We're also kind of seeing it start to bow out as well. So we will have to watch for potential increasing damaging wind potential of these storms as well. Taking a look at velocity, unfortunately, we're just not in that area where you can get a good low-level velocity radar scans. The Gaylord radar, I will say, does have a little bit better, less noisy look to it, but it is still several thousand feet up. So these 70 to 80 mile per hour velocities being indicated. It's questionable if all of that is reaching the ground. But what this is showing is that the Gaylord radar is doing a little bit better job showing it than the Grand Rapids radar, but this big spike in eastern portions of Lake County, that is our free body scattered spike. I can go to our debris tracker and it's showing that very well there as well. That will come back momentarily. That is a new scan coming into our system. So I can actually animate that. That should get it back up. And there we go. And we're still seeing large hail being indicated with this storm, or this free bodied scattered spike signature near the Chase area, heading towards the Roy, Tustin, Highland, and Marion areas. We are continuing to see indications for large hail, at least on radar. And this is from both Grand Rapids and Gaylord radars. So again, it is beginning to move out of Lake County now, generally into Osceola County, and will eventually be moving into those northern portions of Clare County as well with time. We're still watching these other storms. We got some cells developing over Lake Michigan, and also this big complex of storms towards the Manistee area. That is our flooding rain threat up there as well developing. And unfortunately, areas north of M40, especially near and north of M46, especially, we're getting fairly concerned about flooding over the next couple of days. And again, focusing on our severe weather potential in the short term. This cell is beginning to cross out of Lake County over the next few minutes. We'll be moving into Osceola County, particularly the north central portions of the county, mainly the Roy and Tustin areas in the short term. If you're along US 131, if you're planning on traveling 131 between Reed City and Cadillac, I would hold off for the next little bit. Just letting just let this storm pass on by. You don't want to be out in it when the heavy rain, the heavy lightning, and probably hail up there as well. You don't want to be in that. Let this storm pass on by before you head up 131. If you're heading north from Reed City or south from Cadillac, I would hold off for the next little bit and let this storm pass on through. And I know it's later in the night. This is generally a low traffic time, but just in case anyone might be planning, who might be watching is planning on heading up 131 there in the short term, just hold off. Let the storm pass. Okay. Taking a look behind the scenes and some additional sources. Not seeing anything new in terms of reports, either from MPing or other sources. It does look like our warning that was in effect for Lake County has expired. Come to think, it would be questionable if they issue another one. If they did, it would be for a very small section. But since the storm is about to move out of the county area anyway, in the next couple of minutes, I'm suspecting they're just going to let that expire. So Lake County, the severe threat, at least from this particular storm, is winding down. It is not quite over for tonight. We have other storms we are watching that could be producing hail. The potential for hail and gusty winds. From this particular storm moving into Osceola County, a severe threat is winding down. Taking a look at our echo tops again. We're still seeing this storm being 30 to 40,000 feet high. That's a relatively strong storm. Explaining why it's producing the large hail. Take a look behind the scenes. I'm going to go look at mesoanalysis. What are the current lapse rates? Taking a look at that real quick. Mid-level lapse rates are over 6.5 to 6.5 to 7 across this area. Low-level lapse rates are a little bit lower. You see a small pocket of 6 low-level lapse rates in the general vicinity of these storms. There's a new scans coming in. The Roy area particularly is my area of most concern. The Roy and Tustin areas in the short term is where I am continuing to be most concerned for the potential of quarter-size hail. We're still seeing our very high reflectivity values up to 65 to 70 dBs. In fact, we are at 70 dBz in terms of reflectivity. That's very high, and when we start getting that high, our concern for large hail begins to increase. So the Roy and Tustin areas, especially right now, we need to be indoors in that sturdy structure. I would prefer you be away from those windows as well. Highland and Marion, you need to be heading that direction as well over the next few minutes. And if you got a few minutes, if you don't have your vehicle in a garage and you have one, if you can, you do have a few minutes if you happen to be awake to go move that vehicle into that garage, or otherwise if you have blankets or bubble wrap or something to kind of cover your vehicle. Hopefully try to reduce any potential hail damage. Just kind of do what you can to protect your vehicle. But again, we're watching the potential for large hail moving in northern portions of moving through northern and central portions of Osceola counties, with severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 1:15 in the morning. Behind the scenes, I am seeing a few power outages, at least on the consumer's map near the Baldwin area. I'm starting to see a few outages pop up. Could be storm damage, or it could be likely from these storms. Let me check the time on it. 12:09. That would match with the time of these storms. So we do have some power outages up near the Baldwin area as well. So this is another sign this is a relatively strong storm as it continues to move off to the northeast. We're continuing to show indications of large hail. Taking a look at another product behind the scenes. This is going to be your estimated hail size. Radar is estimating hail up to, in fact, I can pull that up here. Give me just 1 second. I just got to switch to a different system for that. A little bit delayed, but this is the 1232 MERM scan showing hail approaching 1 inch in diameter. Another radar source was showing radar estimated hail over 1/2 inch in diameter. That is radar estimated and a bit higher up. So not necessarily making it to the surface as that, but decent potential for quarter size hail at the very least with this storm as it continues to move off to the north and east. Again, the greatest potential for that is heading into the Roy and Tustin areas right now. It is right along 131 in these areas. So, again, between Reed City and Cadillac, if you're planning on going along 131, just hold off. Give it about 10-15 minutes. Let this storm pass on through. Give it 15-20 minutes, I should say. Let these storms pass through. And if anyone in particularly northern Osceola County, and even in the northwestern Clare County with time, if you're watching and you have storm reports to pass along to us, whether that be of a large hail especially, feel free to let us know. You can let us know in chat, or you can also tag us on our social media platforms, or go to our website at www.westmichiganweather.net. That is where we have a place where you can submit those storm reports to us. Not only would we appreciate it, we appreciate the ground truth, especially in this area where low-level radar coverage is limited. And also, the National Weather Service can get some help from these reports as well. So, again, just to confirm, they did let that warning for Lake County expire. I just noticed that come across the screen, my feed here moments ago. But again, our only active severe thunderstorm warning in our coverage area right now is going to be for portions of it's going to be Osceola and Clare counties, mainly the northern half or so of Osceola County and that far northwestern corner of Clare County. That is going to be for this strong thunderstorm, very strong to severe thunderstorm, moving through the Roy and Tustin areas right now, where we're continuing to see these very high reflectivity values. That is at least at the level the radar is looking at, some larger hail potentially, and that could definitely be potentially making it down to the ground. Taking a look at the Gaylord radar, showing the same general pattern here. That very large hail moving into the Roy and Tustin areas, we're moving into the Highland and Marion areas with time as well. I will go ahead and do another storm track. This is going to be for the strongest part of this storm, currently near the Roy area, moving off to the northeast at around 45 miles per hour. We're going to take it into the Highland area in the next 20 minutes or so, but do not wait. If you are in the Highland area, you need to be inside right now. The Marion area in the next 25 minutes or so, and this is outside of our coverage area, but McBain in southern Missaukee County, in case we have any viewers there, that will be moving in the next 25 minutes to half hour or so. We're also still watching, this is not severe currently, but northern portions of Lake County are kind of included in these storms. Moving through Wexford County as well, we're showing elevated DBZ values. And we're also kind of watching these storms that organize into these complexes that has a little bit increased potential for damaging winds as well. I can go over to our velocity product. And again, this is several thousand feet up from the radar, and not all of this may be reaching the ground, but we are showing very strong winds, about 6,000 feet up, around 70 to 80 miles per hour. That's probably not all reaching the surface, but nonetheless, some gusty winds are becoming possible with these storms as well. Especially as they organize into that, as they kind of merge, kind of get into those line segments, that's when we have to start watching further damaging wind potential. You're further south of the severe thunderstorm watch along 131. It does, especially in Kent County, we are starting to see some convection start to organize. I am not seeing anything imminently severe of this convection, but if you're starting to see lightning and hear thunder over towards the Virginis Township area, the Croton area, heading towards Cannon Township, we're starting to see some showers and thunderstorms begin to fire up around the Grand Rapids area. This is not severe at this time, but we'll be continuing to watch that as well. We're also watching some other storms that could begin to pick up a little bit across, again, portions of Mason and that would be Oceana County. We're watching these cells as well, not currently severe, but could be producing some small hail, in addition to frequent lightning and heavy rainfall. Our main severe thunderstorm as of right now is moving through northern portions of Osceola County again. Tustin and Roy, especially, as you see in the thick of this storm right now, probably in the hail, and the very, very heavy rainfall and frequent lightning, and potentially gusty winds as well, albeit winds are below severe limits, at least according to the warning right now, but still could be gusty nonetheless. Like impressive signal still on radar of the storm. We'll go to our hail tracker real quickly. I mean, you can definitely tell this is a stronger storm. And go to our hail tracker, that still matches with what we're indicating on radar near the Roy area and Tustin. Still showing obvious signals for hail that could be on the larger side. Back to our reflectivity, and you still see we're still in the whites, still approaching 70 dBz with these storms. Just north of the Roy area, kind of towards the Pine River, east of the Pine River area high school area, right along US 131 there. It's going to be over towards Mackinac Trail, Roy Road, 18-mile road. That's going to be 200th Avenue as well. We're seeing this signal for larger hail. That's going to be heading towards the Rose Golf Course, if you're familiar with that area, towards the Dighton area, Rose Lake, heading through, especially areas just south of Tustin and Point South. We're seeing indications for large hail as the storm continues to lift off to the east and northeast. You can still see your free body scattered spike on the Gaylord radar especially. We're also seeing still some of those indications on the Grand Rapids radar as well. A little bit less on Grand Rapids, but even on the Grand Rapids radar, we're still seeing indications of larger hail. And I'm starting to watch this storm. It looks like it's continuing to flare up across portions of Lake and Oceana counties. We're starting to see some higher reflectivity show up there as well. So this storm could be producing at least some smaller hail and could ramp up and require a severe thunderstorm warning as well. I'm silent, guys. I'm still here. I'm just looking at some sources behind the scenes. I've not seen any reports from Osceola County yet or Lake County of hail. But again, if you're watching in these areas, and you have any reports to pass along to us, feel free to let us know. You can do so in chat. We are watching our chat room here on our stream. We also are watching social media, and you can go to our website at www.westmichiganweather.net, and there's a place there you submit those storm reports as well. All right. So back in on our strong thunderstorm. New scan coming around. Has the greatest potential for large hail now east of the Tustin and northeast of the Leroy areas. Highland, it is on your doorstep. You're in the Highland area, right along M115 there. That is where we're seeing the potential for large hail move into next. And we're still showing our very high DBZ values, heading right towards the Highland area over the next several minutes. That is on both the Grand Rapids and the Gaylord radars as well. Looks like we got a new mesoscale discussion starting to come in from the Storm Prediction Center. Here's what's going on with this mesoscale discussion. The summary on this one's going to be occasional damaging gusts of 60 to 70 miles per hour and isolated large hail near 1 inch in diameter would be possible along the conglomerate outflows through 06Z that is associated with this complex of storms. And full discussion, thunderstorms have grown upscale into extensive QLCS, the conglomerate cool pool extending from northeast Iowa. In fact, I'll go to composite real quick and we can take a look. Let's switch products. From northeast Iowa all the way through southern Wisconsin and central Wisconsin, all the way into central lower Michigan. Predominantly east-west orientation, the cold QLCS and westerly flow a lot. Aloft suggests that most of the stronger updrafts will remain slightly to the cool side of the southeast moving outflow. A few smaller scale Boeing segments will be possible, especially with cell mergers into the line, which is more probable across central lower Michigan. Occasional damaging outflow gusts of 60 to 70 miles per hour and hail near 1 inch in diameter will be the main threats at least through at least 06C. That's going to be 2 a.m. So that is what we're going to be watching in the short term, is continued for potential damaging wind gusts. I'll pull up. Let me get the whole graphic going. We got a new special marine warning coming in as well. Let me try and get the MCV pulled up. Unfortunately, it takes a few minutes for it to load in the SPC site. Let me go ahead and pop in my source again, then we'll get back to the severe thunderstorm warning. Just a second. This is that mesoscale discussion I was talking about. And that is highlighting this region across central Michigan. And for damaging gusts of 60 to 70 miles per hour on an isolated basis and isolated large hail near 1 inch of the main threats. The main threat is damaging winds up to 60 to 70 miles per hour and large hail up to quarter size in diameter, at least through 2 a.m. Primarily, again, highlighting central lower Michigan, mainly north of M46 for this potential in the short term. Could it make it further south than that? That remains to be seen. But just something we are continuing to watch over the next few hours is potential for quarter size hail and some damaging winds. I'm going to go ahead, go back to our main scene, and we'll go back. We're going to go off the composite, go back to our main radar, go back into our severe thunderstorm warning near the Highland, in northern portions of Osceola County. Highland, you don't have much time left. You need to be in that sturdy structure, preferably away from those windows, because we have hail moving into your area imminently. And with these radar indications continuing to be elevated for larger hail as well. So if you're near the Highland area, you need to be indoors. A lot of people are probably asleep, and you're about to get woken up by this storm, probably. This is for the potential of quarter-size hail. Quarter-size hail, and as that continues to move off to, looks like it's moving a little more east now, over northeast. This is a new update I have coming into our the National Weather Service. They continue with this severe thunderstorm warning for northern portions of Osceola County and northwestern portions of Clare County. This warning does continue until 1:15, and this is going to be for the potential of quarter-size hail. As that update comes into our alert call system, we do have our details on all the active alerts, severe alerts in our area. Those are our details scrolling on the bottom of our screen. So if you could feel free to reference that as well. And this is outside of our coverage area, but if you are in Missaukee County, the National Weather Service in Gaylord has issued a severe thunderstorm warning. That is for 60 mile per hour wind gusts and quarter size hail. And that is for the same storm moving off to the northeast and northeast. This is the same storm we are watching in northern portions of Osceola County. Yeah, we are still showing, at least on the Gaylord radar, we are still seeing those signs of that free body scattered spike. We'll go to our debris tracker or correlation coefficient. We're still showing signs of large hail. We'll go to back to our reflectivity and then pull up our hail tracker. Again, our reflectivity, large hail signals, our vertical integrated liquid or hail tracker, large hail signals. So there's nothing suggesting the hail threat is over with these storms as they continue to move off to the east and northeast. So in Highland, it's moving into your area right about now. Marion will be on your doorstep, particularly especially the north side of Marion, especially. From Marion and points north, it'll be on your doorstep over the next few minutes. And then it will be moving into southern portions of Missaukee County. Clare County are still in this severe thunderstorm warning, and it's possible this storm could clip northwestern portions of Clare County. I am starting to think, based on some radar indications, that the strongest part of this storm might stay just a hair west of Clare County. But if you are in those far northwestern sections of Clare County, west of the Rainbow Bend area especially, if you are near the Winterfield Conservation Club, you'll need to be inside as well. Just tell that we know this storm has passed. And even then, we still have other storms moving through, which still could produce at least some potential for hail and gusty winds, potentially damaging winds as well. All right, we are approaching 75 dBz on this storm moving over the Highland area right now. This is on the Gaylord radar. We are approaching 75 dBz. That is a very, very intense storm. And once we start getting to those levels, that's when I get a little bit more concerned about very large hail, potentially larger than quarter size. That's when and again, this is higher up in the storm, may not necessarily be reaching the surface, but again, at least in the upper levels of this storm, the hail is getting quite significant up there, just based on our reflectivity values. So Highland, it is probably starting to get very noisy in the area as hail is starting to pick up. Take a look at some of my products behind the scenes. Radar is indicating for this storm, the estimating hail over 2 inches in diameter, given that is higher up, may not necessarily be reaching the surface, but radar is estimating up to 2-inch in diameter hail. Look at some of its sources behind the scenes. So again, this is a rather dangerous situation in northern portions of Osceola County. We are continuing to see indications of larger hail being indicated on Doppler radar, moving into the Highland area right now, and will eventually be moving into southern portions of Missaukee County that is outside of our coverage area. And we may still have some viewers potentially up in that area. Again, this is our only severe thunderstorm warning that is in effect right now. We're still watching other storms, like near the Baldwin area, we're still watching these storms. Not seeing anything, maybe a little bit, some gusty winds or some leaker rotation potentially near the Salvo area. I don't think this is going to be tornadic. Again, the tornado potential is very low with this activity. But just taking a look at some things behind the scenes suggests maybe a little bit of very weak rotation up there, or at the very least some gustier winds as these storms continue to move. These storms are moving the east-northeasterly direction as well. That's been the general theme of these storms, is that east-northeasterly direction. Again, even on the Grand Rapids radar, we're still seeing the potential for large hail over the Highland area right now. Steve on YouTube is asking, how is Holland, Michigan look? Holland is relatively quiet right now. I do think Holland, especially as we get later into the night, there's still the potential for storms, especially if storms off to our west that would have to move overhead overnight and into early tomorrow morning. I do think the severe threat, by the time those storms make it there, we'll have to see if we get any development over the lake or something like that. But the severe threat is generally lower in the Holland area. Our focus for severe weather is really north of I-96, and especially north of M46 is the greatest concern right now for severe weather. So Holland, I can still see some storms happening later tonight, and a non-zero severe threat, but definitely I think a little bit on the lower side, especially as we get later and later into the night. Stability will tend to start limiting some of our surface stability will start to limit some of our severe threat as well. So again, we are also seeing storms beginning to kind of get going a little bit east of 131 as well. So areas like Ionia, you're probably hearing some thunder up through Montcalm County, down through Eaton County, and even into the Jackson area as well, Berry County as well. We're seeing some showers and storms start to flare up. And we'll have to watch these as well in the short term as well, just in case some of these start to get a little rowdy in terms of strength. But again, our primary concern right now is northern portions of Osceola County. In fact, it is getting ready to move out of Osceola County. The strongest part of this particular cell is getting ready to move into Missaukee County. You have special marine warnings up towards the Ludington area again. That is associated with these storms moving over the lake. It'll be coming to the east over the next few minutes, coming on shore over the next little while. These special marine warnings are for hail greater than 3/4 of an inch in diameter. It's large hail and wind gusts greater than 34 knots. That equates to roughly 45 miles per hour in terms of wind gusts over the lake. We're also still watching storms moving offshore of Wisconsin that still need to move across Lake Michigan as well. So we've got probably a long night ahead, at least for the next few hours in terms of severe weather. Hopefully we can get these storms to kind of wind down in strength as we head through the night. Reduce that severe weather threat with time. And the strongest part of our severe thunderstorm was really moving outside of Osceola County now, just passing through the Highland area, I should say, the Highland area. And we're watching some secondary storms moving through the Tustin and Leroy areas. Could be producing some smaller hail as well. Same goes with these storms near the Baldwin area in the northern portions of Newaygo County. I'm not really seeing anything imminently severe with these storms. It's just some heavier downpours, frequent lightning, and maybe some gustier winds as well. And some small hail. Only severe thunderstorm warning right now is in effect for portions of Osceola and Clare counties. Except Clare County, I think the strongest part of that particular cell, which prompted a severe warning, is moving out. It's probably going to bypass to the northwest. We'll have to watch in the short term these storms near the Tussin and Roy areas. Those are moving a little bit more, touch more to the east as well. So those could clip northwestern portions of Clare County. Data behind the scenes really quick. I'll just say the severe threat after 2 a.m. I know that's when the mesoscale discussion mentioned. After 2 a.m., it's not zero, but I think after 2 a.m., we will start to see things kind of settle down a little bit. We still have a complex of storms off to the west, which we'll have to move through, that could still produce some gustier winds as well. But I think after 2 a.m., this will begin to mainly transition from more of a severe weather threat. We could still see some hail and stuff like that. This will begin to transition more towards a heavy rainfall threat for areas north of M46 especially, and especially up towards US 10 based on radar trends, where I'm getting most concerned about heavy rainfall throughout the night tonight. And we still have this severe thunderstorm warning if you're still with us here. We have this severe thunderstorm warning for the next 13 minutes or so for portions of Clare and Osceola counties. But the strongest part of the storm, which prompted the warning, is really moving into Missaukee County now. It's right over the McBain area. We're just watching this additional little complex of storms near the Tustin and just moving through the Tustin and Leroy areas. Highland, you might get a secondary punch of heavy rainfall, gusty winds, and maybe some hail over the next few minutes as well. Taking a look at our hail tracker really quickly. The indications are not as significant for large hail there, but still some smaller hail possible with that storm as it moves off to the north and east. We're still seeing again that kind of Three bodied scatters by to it near the Tussin and Roy areas. So again, that could still be producing some hail, that secondary push storms as it moves off to the north and east. So Highland, you're probably gonna get a secondary punch of some gusty winds and some large and potentially some large hail over the next few minutes. Looking behind the scenes, I am still not seeing much in the way of reports. Probably hailing there, but it's also relatively later in the night. That could be reducing reports as well, as a lot of people are probably sleeping right now. Continuing with this severe thunderstorm warning for the next 10 minutes. Taking a quick look further south. I know we haven't mentioned that lately. You're east of 131, especially along M66. We are continuing to watch these storms across portions of Montcalm, down through Ionia County, heading through portions of Berry and Eaton County down into Jackson County. We are watching these showers and thunderstorms. We're not seeing anything imminently severe with these storms. These just mainly look like heavy downpours and some lightning at this time. Now watching these Ionia County storms, we're starting to see a few spots of higher DBZ up in there. That could be some smaller hail near the Saranac area, heading towards Ionia over the next few minutes. We're not seeing anything imminently severe of these storms, but we are watching those as well as they lift off to the east and northeast as well. These have a little bit more of an easterly movement to them compared to some of these other storms, which is moving a little more in a northeasterly direction. Once we're going to see what the National Weather Service decides to do with this severe thunderstorm warning in the next 10 minutes. I do believe we got a new radar scan getting ready to come around. So the sweep kind of restart. That generally means we got a new sweep. And they are updating our special marine warning. That's going to be near Ludington. It's a continuation still for wind gusts greater than 34 knots and large hail, greater than 3/4 of an inch in diameter. And it's just an update to that warning. Still continues until 1:45. We still continue with our severe thunderstorm warning for the next 8 minutes, mainly across northern Osceola County. We are watching northwestern Clare County technically as well, but at this point I think Clare County is probably going to escape the worst of these storms, as even that secondary pour of heavy rain, potentially some hail and gusty wind is moving into the Highland area right now. That will also lift into the southern portions of Missaukee County. So areas like McBain, Butterfield, Lake City will be in the brunt of that storm for the next little while. We're still watching these storms near the Baldwin area as well. Those are not severe at the moment. Maybe some smaller hail, maybe some gusty winds in the Baldwin area. But we're not seeing anything immediately concerning in terms of severe weather with those storms. We'll still be watching those, of course, here in the short term. We're also watching these cells further to the south along the M66 corridor moving off to the east. Again, nothing imminently severe with those. We could be seeing some smaller hail potentially in the just south of the Ionia area, heading towards the Ionia County Airport area and south side of Ionia. Maybe some signals, so some small hail with those storms. And we have to watch these line segments as well that develop. As that is that damaging wind threat that the Storm Prediction Center was talking about in their mesoscale discussion. They did highlight central and lower Michigan for that potential. You have to watch these line segments in case they start to bow out. That is a sign of gusty to damaging winds, up to 60 to 70 miles per hour. That is going to be on a more isolated basis, but we'll be watching that, continuing to watch that in the short term as well. You're just joining us. It is after 1 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday morning. I am Jacob Melton. I am live here with West Michigan Weather. I have been live for almost 2 hours now. As I was live earlier tonight for first round of severe weather. That was more southern Michigan into portions of south central Michigan too. But again, we are live again tonight for another round of severe storms, mainly across central and into northern lower Michigan. That's where the greatest potential for severe weather of this round is. And this is mainly, again, similar story to what we experienced earlier with the hail and high wind potential. It's a similar story with this round as well. And we do continue with our severe thunderstorm watch. I will take off radar just for a second. We do continue with the severe thunderstorm watch for the county shaded in this pink color here. That is a severe thunderstorm watch in effect until 5 a.m. Tuesday morning. Will the severe threat go all the way till 5 a.m.? That gets a little more questionable, but we will be watching at least according to the mesoscale discussion, at least until 2 a.m. and potentially a little bit after that for the potential of large hail and damaging wind gusts. Those are our main concerns as we head into the overnight hours. The tornado threat, there's still technically a 2 to 4% probability of a tornado in the SPC outlook, but overall, I think the tornado threat is very low at this point. Just as we are in the nighttime hours, the surface is getting fairly stable. That's going to prevent these storms from getting surface base and really being able to access that lowest level rotation. We get tornadoes. They're not, I think the threat of that is dwindling. Will continue to dwindle as we head through the overnight hours. So mainly be a hail and some high wind threat, especially for the next hour or two, especially. Do continue with this severe thunderstorm warning for the next 4 minutes across portions of Clare and Osceola counties. I do suspect with the strongest part of those storms lifting off to the northeast out of those areas, I do suspect this warning will be allowed to expire. That will leave us technically with no active warnings. We are still watching some of these storms, particularly near the Baldwin, Luther, Reed City areas as that lifts off to the east and northeast. That could be some heavy rain, small hail, and gusty winds. We're watching this cell near the Ionia area in particular. It's starting to flare up a little bit. It could be producing some smaller hail. Southeast of the Ionia area now heading towards Lyons and Mere, over towards Palamo and Hubbardston potentially. We're seeing some signals maybe of some hail being produced with this storm. In addition to that, taking an overall look at our composites, we still have severe thunderstorm warnings back off to our west across Wisconsin. We'll need to watch these storms as they head towards our area during the very late overnight hours. I think by then our severe threat, not zero, will be relatively low, but we'll be here watching things just in case. I do think in the short term, our greatest severe potential is going to be especially near and north of US 10, really north of M46, except for these storms down near the Ionia area. We'll need to watch maybe for some hail in the short term. Not seeing anything from the Weather Service on what they're going to do regarding this warning. I'm suspecting they're going to let it expire. It expires at about 2 minutes. And from there, we'll probably stick around for a few more minutes, see what this line segment those as it approaches the US 131 corridor. We may begin to scale back our live coverage a little bit over the next little bit, depending on if we get severe warnings for this complex as it approaches the US 131 corridor. Taking a look at velocity on it. Again, we're kind of in that spot where we don't have the best low-level radar scans, but we are still showing higher winds up there, about 7,000 to 8,000 feet. We're showing 70 to 80 mile per hour winds, but whether that's reaching the surface is very questionable. And we are capped at the surface. That can kind of limit these storms from bringing those winds down to the surface, but that is something we are continuing to watch in the short term. Island, you're probably seeing a little bit more heavy rainfall and some hail potentially, as that last little storm was off to the northeast. Then we got this line segment starting to get a little more organized near the Baldwin Reed City areas. We'll have to watch as well. It does look like they're going to let our warning for Clare and Osceola counties expire. As it expires in the next 20 seconds or so, they are letting this warning expire. And that is, at least for the moment, going to leave no active severe thunderstorm warnings in the West Michigan weather coverage area. We're going to stick around at least for a few more minutes just to see what these storms are doing. This is just a quick note. This is outside of our coverage area too, but if you're in the Traverse City area, a flash flood warning has just been issued for a large portion of northwestern lower Michigan, including the Petoskey area, now most recently Traverse City, down through the Mesick area, back towards the Frankfort area, down towards Manistee as well. We're seeing flash flood warnings in place. In addition to the hail and damaging wind potential, we're seeing very, very heavy rainfall in areas that don't really need it. Yeah, it's a rather unfortunate situation up there, but we are seeing flash flood warnings now in the Traverse City area. So again, the main thing I am watching in the short term is these storms north of the M20 corridor, especially. I'm still watching this cell heading into the Lyons area, showing a little bit higher reflectivity signal. Let me take a look. We got a new scan coming around. Let me take a look at hail tracker on that. We signal some small hail near the Lyons area, but nothing. Doesn't really scream severe weather to me at the moment. We'll be continuing to watch that in the short term as well. But again, we do continue, at least as of right now, with no active severe thunderstorm warnings in West Michigan. And I do think with time, our severe threat's going to continue to come down. It'll be mainly transition to a heavy rainfall threat, especially in our northern areas. We go a few more minutes without severe thunderstorm warnings. I am going to consider scaling back our live coverage. Burn myself out completely ahead of tomorrow, but we'll still be watching these storms behind the scenes up until that watch expiration time of 5 a.m. We'll still be kind of watching these storms behind the scenes, even if I do decide to go off. But we'll say at this point, unless we get a warning in the next few minutes for some of these storms, this line segment goes US 131 corridor. I'm gonna go back, take a look at velocity on that. We're showing elevated velocities, but that is a few thousand feet up, and it's also also is questionable if it's reaching the surface right now. So we'll be watching that in the short term. Trying and waiting to see if the National Weather Service at least does a special weather statement on it. Yet at the very least with these storms, we're probably seeing heavy rain, very heavy rainfall in areas that don't really need it, along with maybe some small hail and gusty winds and very frequent lightning. At the very least, these are probably louder storms heading into the Reed City, the Roy, Tustin areas again. Maybe towards Big Rapids as well. These are probably noisy thunderstorms. Not severe at this current point in time, but we're sticking around just for a couple more minutes just to see what those do. Take a look at some things behind the scenes too. Some mesoanalysis. There's not much in the way of surface-based cape up there. Only 100 to 250. Not a whole lot of surface-based cape, and it is cap. Mixed layer cape, we're seeing about 500. Most unstable, seeing 500 to 1,000. Downdraft capes are not looking great either, so but we'll be watching these storms in the short term. But my main concern is this Bowie segment, particularly in Michigan. That's our main concern for gusty to damaging winds. Taking a look behind the scenes. So, tell you what I think we're gonna do, since I'm not seeing any imminent signs of a severe thunderstorm warning coming down the wire. We're still going to be here behind the scenes for the next little while. But at this point, I am leaning towards scaling back our live coverage. Again, I'll still be here for the next few hours at least, monitoring behind the scenes. And if I need to come back on, if we do get a new severe thunderstorm warning, I'll be right back with you guys until the danger is over. But at 1:21 a.m. on this now Tuesday morning, next live stream, you might see Tuesday show up, and if it does happen, might see Tuesday show up instead of Monday. But yeah, I'll still be here behind the scenes, and if severe thunderstorm warning does come into effect, I'll be right here with you live until that severe weather threat expires. And again, thank you for sticking with me tonight, and be safe out there tonight with these storms.